What is up, everybody? You got Tone here, bringing you NPL Miners Season 4, Week number 2. This week, we are up against my good friend Donaki, aka the Supreme King Jaden Yuki, and his Roseradenborg. Now, we are coming off of a nice Week 1 win over Frieslander and his Rotterdam Star Raptors, and we are looking to continue on our little bit of a good head start. So, the team matchup between me and Donaki, you could say it's pretty even until you take a closer look at my matchup versus him, and the matchup is pretty much slightly in my favor. I do have stuff that can overwhelm his team. The main Pokemon I was worried about in terms of building was Celesteela, even though I have a Xurkitree and I have an Entei. There's also another thing to note about his team is while his team is very well constructed, from my opinion, how he has the Kieran Black as a Zmon, which is very scary. Celesteela is a pain to deal with. Nidoqueen, very bulky and pretty tough for my team to break down, even though I have stuff like Latios, which can pressure it a bit. He has Greninja. Not really expecting it, but at the same time I am, just to have that added speed and something to pressure my Latios. Mimikyu, I'm highly expecting just as it, because Priority Shadow Sneak does do a crap ton to me. And my Ghost Resist is either my Lopunny or my Scrafty, which doesn't really match up well in this particular matchup either. Virizion, I'm not really expecting because I have the Clefable, which can pressure it. Latios outspeeds it. Scolipede pressure with Poison Jab. I could potentially bring like a Scarf Entei with Sacred Fire that can overwhelm it. And most importantly, I have Mega Venusaur, which doesn't take too much damage other than like a +2 Zen Headbutt, which is possible, but I'm not really expecting the Virizion. Not really expecting the Gligar either. If he were to bring a ground type against me to prevent me from Volt switching, he would bring Nidoqueen because it is the more favorable option for him. Azelf is a possibility. Hitmonchan, not likely. It just doesn't really have that matchup. Mega Magnetric, I do expect just because to have that added speed factor. And bring Intimidate to weaken my physical attackers like Scolipede, Entei, Excadrill, and the like. So, that all being said, my prediction, the team I'm predicting Donaki to bring, I'm expecting the Kieran Black, I'm expecting Celesteela, highly expect Nidoqueen, Mimikyu, Mega Magnetric, and then the last toss-up is probably between Greninja and Azelf. I lean more towards Greninja, just so he could have that Volturn core with like U-turn and pivot out into something more favorable in his matchup. Azelf can technically do the same thing with Greninja, I just put because it is slightly faster and all that stuff, but it's mainly between Greninja or Azelf. I try to prep for both. So here's the team that I'm bringing. Again, props. I want to give a shout out to Azar for helping me build this team. Helping me try to patch up most of my weaknesses. So, first Pokemon you see we have Barong, our Choice Banded Entei, Sacred Fire, Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, Secret Power. Now, you look at Donaki's team, and you look at a Choice Banded Entei versus it, and if you're looking for a switch into a Choice Banded Sacred Fire from an Entei, if you're like me, you probably don't see one, and you're not mistaken, you don't. His fire resist technically is Greninja, but it's not going to want to take any damage whatsoever. So it's basically going to be Kieran Black or Mega Magnetric to intimidate me, but even a Choice Banded Sacred Fire from Mega Magnetric from my Entei still has a chance to two-shot Mega Magnetric depending on his EV spread. It essentially has a chance to 2-hit KO every single Pokemon on his team. Aside from Mimikyu, which I probably have to bust the disguise for, but other than that, Bandit Entei does a lot of work in this matchup. To the point where I mainly only need to click Sacred Fire. I don't need any added coverage. Flare Blitz was just there in the off chance I run out of Sacred Fire PP. E-Speed for priority, and Secret Power was just thrown onto there because, like I said, I really didn't need any other added coverage. And Secret Power does give me that chance to paralyze something, 30% chance to paralyze something when I hit. So I just threw it on there because why not? I'm not trying to get cheeky with the paralysis, but I felt there really wasn't much I could put onto Entei because I mainly was going to be clicking Sacred Fire against this team anyway. So the EV spread, max attack, adamant nature. I'm ranking up speed to outrun a timid max speed Nidoqueen, non-scarf, and the rest of the EV are just balanced out between its defense and special defense. So just to take hits a little bit better on the special and physical side, stuff like that. Moving on to our second Pokemon here, we have Navi, our Clefable, Stealth Rock, Soft Boiled, Moonblast, and Ice Beam. So I kind of had it was pretty much a toss-up between running Thunderbolt or Ice Beam, but I felt as though that Nidoqueen was the bigger target for my Clef, because either while Celesteela can switch in on Clefable pretty decently, I didn't want to give Nidoqueen a free switch in either, and I figured Ice Beam would be better on the off chance he also brought Gligar. I can hit that with an Ice Beam for the added damage. I can hit Nidoqueen a little bit harder, and I still get chip damage off on the Celesteela, which is very, very nice, just to weaken some stuff for my other physical threats. So this is basically the idea behind Clefable. Try to get in, set up Stealth Rock whenever possible, probably against something like Mega Magnetric, which I am expecting, like I said. The EV spread is pretty much like an old Smogon spread, just max HP, 172 defense, 84 special defense with a Calm Nature. This lets me deal with Mega Magnetric a little bit better. I actually can essentially hard wall Mega Magnetric, bar like a double crit or something. And I believe I take, I want to say I take a Gunk Shot from Greninja. I can't take two if he does bring it. I had an EV spread here or something. It was, I believe it let me take a Corkscrew Crash from a Kyurem Black. I think that's what the EV spread was about. But if I say Z move Kyurem Black, I'm not expecting Corkscrew Crash, because Z Freeze Shock actually one-shots Clefable no matter how much investment I put into my Clefable or any Pokemon, because my Ice Resist is Vaporeon, and spoiler alert, I'm not bringing Vaporeon this week just because it didn't really match up well against some Pokemon like Mega Magnetric, like Virizion, stuff like that. So that is the Clefable. I'm just mainly here to get up Stealth Rock and try to pressure some stuff with Moonblast and Ice Beam. So now we move on to the offense, the crux of the offense here, which starts off with Centikill, our Scolipede, which protects, Substitute, Baton Pass, and Poison Jab. So this Scolipede was built in mind in the chance that I'm not expecting Virizion in this matchup, so I don't really care about Virizion, about trying to outspeed it. After a speed boost, I outspeed non-Scarf Virizion anyway. After 2, I outspeed Scarf Virizion. I can eat up a Zen Headbutt, no matter, or Stone Edge. So this Scolipede is outrunning an Adamant Max Speed Mimikyu. And the EV spread is a little bit more inclined for to take physical hits from Mimikyu and stuff like that. The reason why I had this investment here was before I had Black Sludge on my Scolipede, I actually had Landsat Berry, so whenever I get below 25%, I get a critical hit ratio boost, and then I Baton Pass the crit boost and the speed boost to any one of my other Pokemon, and then run some cheeky shenanigans like that. So that's what this was about. The EV spread stayed the same. The HP and defense investment allows me to avoid being taken out by an Adamant Life Form Mimikyu Shadow Sneak from 26%. So I can protect, He goes for Shadow Sneak, I get a speed boost. He goes for Shadow Sneak again, it won't take me out, and I baton pass the +1 boost to any one of my other Pokemon. So that's basically the idea behind the investment onto that. So one of the recipients of this baton pass speed boost, most likely one of my options is Delta, my Latios, Rocket Leftovers making its debut, Calm Mind, Roost, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, just general coverage against its entire team. Again, this was built with the inception in the event that I'm not expecting Virizion. My Latios doesn't really care much about Virizion because it resists both of its stab attacks, and if he brings Zen Headbutt, then he's not doing much to me. I can Calm Mind on Virizion, I can Roost up, pressure out with an Ice Beam, and Thunderbolt obviously hits the Celesteela. Ice Beam hits the Gligar, the Nidoqueen, all that stuff. So, as for my investment here, 248 in speed lets me outrun a Jolly Max Speed Kyurem Black. 128 with a Modest Nature hits 360 special attack, which is 1 point higher than a Timid Max Special Attack Latios, which hits 359. And the rest is put into defense so I can take physical hits better from Mimikyu and the like. The main recipient of Baton Pass, though, obviously, we have Livewire, our Xurkitree, running a pretty similar spread to last week. Tail Glow, Thunderbolt, HP Ice, Dazzling Gleam. The bulky set, 96 EVs and special attack with a Modest Nature gives me 446 special attack, 1 point higher than Timid Max Special Attack Xurkitree, which is 445. 200 speed lets me outrun a Modest Max Speed Nidoqueen. And then the rest I just added into HP and then 4 in special defense, so I hit an odd number, so I take a little bit less from Stealth Rock damage. So this is basically going to be the recipient of Scolopede's Baton Pass. It actually runs Rough Shot through his team. If I still had Lansat Berry on my Scolipede, I actually had Scope Lens on Xurkitree, so that way when I get the crit boost and Scope Lens, I always crit with my attacks. It's a cheeky strategy, yes, but I changed it. I didn't want to be I didn't want to be the person that relied solely on getting crits all the time and saying that I try to win with luck over pure battling skill. So I changed it, put Shuckle Berry on here so I can take an Earth Power from my Life Orb Nidoqueen, retaliate with an HP Ice, get up a Tail Glow, the whole 9 yards. And lastly, we have Jalago, our Choice Scarf Excadrill with Rapid Spin, Earthquake, Iron Head, and Shadow Claw with the Mold Breaker abilities, so I can EQ an Iron Head, bypass Mimikyu's Disguise. I can Earthquake on Azelf, bypass Levitate. Shadow Claw was basically a filler move. I couldn't really think of a fourth move to put on there, and I had Shadow Claw on the off chance that if I wanted to lock myself into a move and he brings the Mimikyu and he also has Gligar in the back, I would rather Shadow Claw. I could Iron Head, but Shadow Claw was basically there because it wasn't for Gligar. It let me do the most damage to Celesteela. So basically, I have ways of pressure Celesteela, as you saw already with Entei, with Xurkitree, with Latios. So it shouldn't really be a problem of pressuring Celesteela with my coverage options and my Pokemon. And Scarf is just here for as a revenge kill stuff. This lets me outrun Mega Manetric. I'm running up speed on my Excadrill to outrun Timid Max Speed Nidoqueen, so I can outspeed it if he is bringing a Choice Scarf Nidoqueen set. I don't expect it, but just on the off chance he does bring it, I outspeed that. I can Iron Head and pick off Weakened Virizion and all that sort of stuff. But mainly, this Excadrill is here to bypass Mimikyu's Disguise, bop it with an Iron Head, or Earthquake if the opportunity presents itself. So that is a team builder for week number 2 of the NPL Minors Season 4. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll be right back. I'm going to switch over to battles, so stay tuned. Alright, so we are here with week number 2 of Season 4 of the NPL Minors. Maine Red Clawitzers taking on the Supreme King Jaden Yuki and his Roseradenborg. So I pretty much got his team down almost exactly. He brought the Mimikyu, Celesteela, Mega Manectric, Nidoqueen, Kyurem Black, and he brought the Azelf over the Greninja. I said, like I said before, it'll be a toss-up between Greninja and Azelf. He decides to bring the Azelf. Perfectly fine by me. So, like I said back in the team builder, he didn't have a switch in for a choice banded Entei Sacred Fire. So I thought for a while about leading off with my Entei, but I figure at the same time, I think it would have been easier to lead off with my Clefable because he didn't bring any hazard removal. I'm gonna try to get up rocks with my Clef and wear down his Pokemon, mainly wearing down that Kyurem Black, getting some chip damage off on the Mimikyu, the Nidoqueen, wherever it may be. So I figured, like I said, Clef was the safer option, even though I had Entei. I didn't want to go directly into Entei, although I could have pressured him out with Sacred Fire, but I figured Clef was the safest play, just because I wanted to get up rocks. And if he left with Azelf, I would immediately click Moonblast on the off chance he would try to taunt me or anything like that. So, starting the game, lead off with Clef. He leads off with Celesteela. I'm like, damn it, the one Pokemon I don't want you to lead off with. So, I'm going to go hard into my Latios here. So he goes for the Leech Seed. Perfectly fine with that. I didn't bring my Venusaur. So, he's going to go for a Protect here. I'm going to go and click Calm Mind here. Since I see he's more of a defensive variant of Celesteela, I figure I can get up with some Calm Mind on the Celesteela, try to pressure it out. So I'm going to go for Calm Mind again on the chance he's trying to switch out. But he goes for Heavy Slam here. It does over about half. So I figured I tried to go for Roost here on the off chance he tried to protect. So I get my Roost off. He goes for Heavy Slam again, trying to keep me low, which is fine. So now I figured it's time to show off my that I had Thunderbolt this whole time. Fire with Thunderbolt, and he lived on 1%, and he goes for Toxic, and I was like, okay, that was my saving grace there. That he did not go for Heavy Slam again. So I'm almost dead at this point. So I'm gonna click Roost here as he's gonna make a switch out into his Manectric, trying to get the Lightning Rod, but I go for Roost, trying to keep this thing healthy and all that stuff. But it's getting very hard to do that because I'm poisoned, I am Leech Seeded. So he's going to make a double back out into Celesteela just to scuff for my coverage option. Reveal the Ice Beam, down goes Celesteela, and I'm like, okay, Excadrill is now free to click Earthquake. And I was like, oh my god, I wasn't expecting Celesteela to drop so soon. So goes into Mimikyu, and he gets a Show for Shao Sneak, takes out my Latios. In comes my Excadrill here, and I'm thinking clicking Iron Head is the safest play. So I go for Iron Head here. He goes hard Kyurem Black on the Iron Head here. So this was sort of a 50-50 for me, because the way he sent Kyurem Black, I'm thinking Kyurem Black is Scarf. So I had two options: either risk him being his Kyurem being Scarf. He goes for Earth Power, does a chunk to my Excadrill. I take it out with Earth Power, or I'm trying to make a conservative play, go into my Clefable, and see what exactly he's going to do with the Kyurem. So I made the conservative play because it's still a little early. I wanted to try to keep momentum going with my by going into Clefable, and Excadrill became essentially my win con because Celesteela gone, I click Earthquake against the rest of his team for free. So go into Clefable, and he's going to reveal he was Z-move with the Sub-Zero Slammer. Z-Freeze Shock, down goes my Clefable, nothing I can do about that. So since seeing he's Z-move, I go out into my Excadrill again. I click Earthquake because he definitely dies from that range. So Kyurem Black goes down, in comes the Nidoqueen. I'm fearing the Earth Power, so I'm going to go hard into my Solipede. Goes for the Earth Power, it does over half, so this is most likely a modest Life Orb here. Now here I make a mistake. I went for Substitute thinking I could try to set up and get Baton Pass, but he goes for Roar, and that was a misplay because I should have protected first. It does bring in my Entei though, So I get to fire up with Sacred Fire here. Does well over 60%. He gets up his rocks. And Stealth Rock ensures that that Scolipede dies on re-entry. So here is the big play right there. So I go for Sacred Fire again, take on the Nidoqueen, and basically keep the pressure on his team. But unfortunately, I missed Sacred Fire, and this is a huge turn in the match, because you see, he's gonna go for Earth Power and do 83% to my Entei, which is bad on multiple fronts. For one, my Entei is no longer able to switch out because I don't want to get rid of rocks. I can't freely get rid of rocks as long as he has that Mimikyu around, so I can't freely click Rapid Spin to get rid of him. Which sucks a lot, actually. So, and I don't really want to click Rapid Spin in this case because, for two reasons. One, he's already made it clear that I'm not going to be able to speed pass into my circuitry anymore, or for that reason at all, because I no longer have the ability to take a Shadow Sneak from Mimikyu. I am already in range, so I figured I could save Scolipede later as sack fodder, but the main Pokemon I really wanted here was my Entei. If I hit Sacred Fire, I still would have had a full HP Entei, so I could save it for E-Speed on the Azelf, the Mega Manetric, whatever the case may be. But unfortunately I missed. I take a huge chunk from Nidoqueen's Earth Power. So I'm just going to stay in, go for Sacred Fire, take out the Nidoqueen. So good for Entei, bad because he gets to go right onto his Azelf and just click Psychic and take out my Entei, which I did not want to happen, which sucks immensely. I do go into my Excadrill here, and now I'm going to now I have to play some mind games here because he went for Psychic. So what I'm going to do this turn is I'm going to scout and see if he Scarf Azelf. So I'm going to make the double and sack off my Scolipede to the Stealth Rock and see if he decides to switch out. So I switch out, I sack off my Scolipede to the Stealth Rocks, and after my Scolipede drops, he does stay and go for Psychic. This is a Scarf Azelf, and I'm like, yep, this is pretty much going to be a game because I go to Circuitry here, I click Dazzling Gleam here, although I probably should have clicked Thunderbolt. I look at Psychic, I go for Dazzling Gleam here on the off chance he goes into Mega Manetric, trying to catch the Lightning Rod, but then he gets click Psychic again, taking me out. Go into my Excadrill, I don't really have much left in this game, and he is just going to... He's now going to switch out, go out into his Mimikyu here. I'm just going to lock myself into Earthquake. It's the safest play. Doesn't kill it. He gets to go for the Shadow Sneak, get some chip damage off, dies to Life Orb recoil. And it sucks because that Shadow Sneak puts me in range of the Azelf's Flamethrower, and just for added measure, he gets a crit right on top of it. So, unfortunately, we are going to take a 2-0 loss to the Roseradenborg. Just to say that the match really would have changed for the most part had the Sacred Fire connected on the Nidoqueen. I would have still had an Entei, a full HP Entei, switching to Stealth Rock 4 more times. The minute he sacked off Mimikyu to the Shadow Sneak to get chip damage off on my Excadrill, could have went out into my Entei and just freely clicked E-Speed because Azelf was 100% in range of a Choice Banded E-Speed from my Banded Entei. In his last Pokemon's Mega Manetric, he Mega Evolves, he can't intimidate both Entei and Excadrill. I E-Speed for damage, he takes me out with a Thunderbolt, I go out into my Scarf Excadrill, click Earthquake, and it would have potentially been a 1-0 win for me. But alas, that did not happen. The Sacred Fire miss just threw things out of proportion. I did kind of misplay by not scouting for the Roar on the Nidoqueen before I set up sub, so I actually could have potentially went and saved my Scolipede for try to speed pass one more time and still take a Life Orb Mimikyu Shadow Sneak in that case. But it is what it is. I'm a little upset that the miss did happen and it pretty much kind of cost me a win. I'm not going to say that I won for certain in the event that I didn't miss, but it did change the flow of the battle and shifted more towards Donaki, simply because literally he had no bandit sacred fire switch-ins, and then the miss happened. So what can you do? So we are now 1-1. Differential is back down to 0. Week 3 we play Jar Boss and the Chicago Kirim Blackhawks. So stay tuned for that. I also apologize. The uploads for the NPL minors have been changed. So this video will be seen on Tuesday. And every battle upload from this point forward will be shown on Tuesdays as opposed to Thursdays. It makes it a lot easier for most of the coaches. So if you're wondering why this battle wasn't up this past Thursday, there's your reason. But nonetheless, I hope you guys did enjoy the battle. Nonetheless, if you did, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Also, make sure to check out Donaki's style of the battle, as well as checking out all of the coaches in the NPL majors and the minors, and check out the analysts as well. So that's going to be it from me, guys. Hope you guys enjoy, and until the next time, my name is Anthony, aka Tone. I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side. Later!